It's the Hustler, Pound Sterling, the Hustler, and the Champ, Sonny Edwards. Pounds on punches. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're back again. Easy. Champ, did you see the UFC on the weekend? It wasn't long, so don't tell me you didn't watch it. The main event. You must have watched the Jon Jones fight.
You know what? Yeah, I tried to stay up for it. Yeah. Now listen, I tried to stay up for it. Yeah. I've seen the clips though.
You didn't need to stay up for it. As long as you've seen it, you ain't got to stay up to it.
Yeah. But like, it kind of went how you said from what I've seen. You know what I mean? I do need to catch up and watch the whole thing back. But once I seen he won, it was like, oh, that kind of went the way I was told it.
I won a money. I put my money where my mouth is this time. This time I made sure I got some bread off of this shit. But yeah, Jones won by submission. Jones won by submission in round one. Easy, just cut through. He just cut through Johnny. He cut through Cyril Gann like it was nothing. Choked him out. And that was it. That was all she wrote. But yeah, it's good to see the champ back.
Sorry for the unprofessionalism. I left the window open and I thought, I can't keep that.
Don't worry about it. But no, the champ, Jon Jones came back, just slaughtered a guy. Just ran through him like he was nobody. Like the brother ain't a top 3, top 2 heavyweight in the world. He just ran through him. But there's levels. When you're just that much of a level above everyone, and it just is what it is. People say that my guy, Cyril Gann, got stage fright and all of that. Maybe a little, but I don't think it was because of the stage. I think it was because of the opponent. I think he's already main evented with the pressure of being in his home country of France in a huge fight. He's done all of that already. So for him to do that and not be intimidated, and the previous champion, Francis Ngannou, Cyril
That's
Gann
what I was going to ask you about.
He went the distance. Cyril Gann went the distance with him and lost. But he went the distance with him and lost on points. Jon Jones ran through him in under 2 minutes. Jon Jones is a different kind of animal. His wrestling's on the next level. Yeah, and he's adapted to heavyweight now. Them man are in problems.
I see him call out. Well, not call out. What did he say to Ngannou? There's been like a back and forth.
He said Ngannou's a big pussy. He's basically trying to say, because Ngannou gave up the belts and left the organization, he's saying he did that rather than have to fight him. That's what he's insinuating. Whether that's the case, I don't know. I don't think any professional fighters at that level are scared of each other. But maybe Francis went for what made more business sense to him. But
why did Ngannou leave though? Because before this, like, the ultimate goal sort of was to go to the UFC. No, for the most part.
Of course. It's the pinnacle of the sport. But if you're from a business perspective, from what I can gather outside looking in, the UFC wrap you up in some contracts where you can't do anything but they just have you very tight. So you can fight for UFC. Each time you get near to the end, they extend. You can't go and do some boxing and make some money over there. You can't do one-off unless you're Conor McGregor. They'll make it work. But
it depends where your leverage is at.
Yeah, he had other things he wanted to explore, and they weren't giving him that option. So he chose to go and explore the open market. And I'm sure he'll make lots of money. But from a competitive standpoint, he needed to stay in the UFC and really cut out that he's the best of the best. But I think Jones would beat him easy as he beat Cyril Gann, because Francis Ngannou's got nothing on the ground really either, and Jones is a proper wrestler. He's been wrestling,
and he can stand up as well. Jones can't he?
He can stand up very comfortably. Like if you check what went on before he got his hands on Cyril Gann, he slipped the punch. He slipped inside the punch. Gann overextended and stepped through as he threw the backhand, and ended up wrapped up in Jones. Jones took him down, and that was it. So yeah, he's very capable standing up. Very, very capable.
Because in MMA, with one bad look against the wrong fighter, and then it's like you're trapped. That's what it seems like from the outlook.
Listen, that leads me to, I don't know if you saw the co-main event, the women. I know you didn't see that, did you, Chen?
Nah, I'll be real. I'll hold my hands up.
Yeah. Put your hands up.
Okay.
It's lucky this week. You've been too busy. You've been too busy doing these interviews. I see you on all these shows and shit.
Do you know what it was? Yeah, a few of the lads came round and we watched the Misfits card and the Ohara Davis and Ritson card, and then the plan was to stay up and watch.
There's YouTube though, bro. There's YouTube. All the fights come out on YouTube the next day. What are you talking about?
Nah, I know, but
We're 3 days later now, bro. You could have watched that. You're not taking it serious, fam. You're not taking it serious.
On big live pounds. You know that is. No, I'll hold that one. We're gonna do better, don't they?
We're gonna do better. That's what we're saying.
We're gonna do like this again, though.
I know I won't. That's why I gave you the G check. But let me get back to what I was saying. You said one mistake and it can lead to you getting wrapped. The champ, Valentina Shevchenko, the flyweight champion, that's been dominated. Bad girl kickboxer.
Shevchenko, yeah?
Shevchenko, all-round MMA specialist. She's been dominating bitches for a hot minute. She went for a technique that is high risk. She went for a spinning back kick, yeah? Her opponent anticipating it and said that she'd been training for it, stepped out the way of it, which ended up so that she ends up at the side of Shevchenko and grabbed her back. From grabbing her back, because she's missed the kick, because any spinning techniques are risky. She jumped on her back, wrapped her up, choked her out, shocked the world. Fantastic. But the risks in the game. Oh yeah, 25-1. If anyone would call that 25-1 for Grasso to beat Shevchenko by submission. 25-1. Imagine that. I didn't call that one. But
that one.
Yeah. That's what it was. But yeah, go on. Tell me about this Misfits card in that chat. Tell me about this Misfits
card. So I'm guessing you didn't watch too much of the Misfits card.
I was watching serious sport, bro. I wasn't watching the Misfits.
Okay.
I saw the tag team thing.
Shout out Luis Pineda and B Dave. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm glad we started there because I want to say annoyingly, but I don't even think it is annoying. I genuinely enjoyed it.
It looks like an enjoyable thing, to be honest.
No, when we was watching it, it was chaotic. When they were tagging, sometimes they shipped one more shot just before they got out. It was like, it was really WWE, yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't think tag team boxing could be the worst thing think about it in the world.
Imagine you're getting banged up and you can tag in your brethren who can bang up the brother that's banging you up.
Imagine, and then they use up their gas tank. Yeah, quick tag out at the right time. You finish the round.
Yeah, then you can come back in and just finish him off. But yeah, I can.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine and how the coach would be sending them out and then bringing them back? If it was proper done to a competitive level.
How were they tagging? That confused me because they couldn't just touch to tag.
So the way they said it was originally there had to be a break in boxing, but it did seem like that the ref and the fighters might not have been 100% clued up. Because at times, especially the losing fighters, I don't remember their names. Especially the losing fighters, at times both of them really wanted to get out the ring, so they were just sort of touching out and getting out. But then they was getting caught with a shot because you weren't really supposed to do that. But yeah, one was getting in, one was getting out. It was funny because the team that was just about to get stopped, did get just stopped shortly after. You could tell neither of them wanted to be in the ring. It took them about 10 seconds to get. You know what I mean? It was good though. And just having that sort of Luis Pineda came out and to talk about the actual fight, came out and sort of put on a clinic against the both of them. They tagged in and out, and then when B Dave come in, he came full of beans and then ran across the side of the ring throwing bombs, which everyone was surprised about because the last time everyone seen him, he didn't look up too much. So it was entertaining, especially that fight. I think it was very entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I know, obviously, for the boxing purist, it's not. I don't know, classic boxing. It's a kind of far warped reality version of it, but I don't know. If I got offered the chance of being a part of a big event, and it was like you and your brother versus two other world champion boxing brothers, I don't know if I'd say no to it. I'll be wrong.
Why would you? If the money's right, these little freak show things is where money's at right now, and you're a prize fighter at the end of the day. Even though you've already become a world champion, and obviously you respect your craft, but you're still a prize fighter, bro. Boxing's a risky sport. You got to make all that you can.
Hey, one thing's for sure, if I did ever do tag team boxing, whoever I'm with would have to get very comfortable with. They wouldn't be getting many minutes,
Standard.
Like there's the starters on the basketball team, and they're putting up the numbers of the minutes, how much they're playing, and then there's a 2-minute, 3-minute coming for a little bit.
You can't do it with your brother then. Your brother's not trying to come there and just sit.
I think he'll be all right with it. He'd be doing entertaining in the back. come in for the knockout. I'll let Charlie do the knockout. You know what I mean? As soon as I've just got him tired and frustrated and mentally broken, go on, Charlie, finish him. You know?
Finish you off. Finish you off.
Come in for the money shot. Like, I'm not gonna get the knockout, but you know what I mean? Big bro, man.
I hear you. All right, so go on. What else was on that card? What was the main event?
There was the main event was. It was. I can't remember the main event.
That's because the Misfits thing was
because you know what it was. The reason why is because I feel like the most entertaining part was the tag team.
Yeah, so the tag team. That's all I watched. All I watched was the tag team thing.
I sat there and watched through the whole card. Obviously some not as memorable. There was the Astrid Wet, the whatever her name is. I hope that's her name. She had a fight with I can't remember the full fight. That's because they're not boxers. It's not like
I'm boxers. We move. Is Ryan Garcia versus Davis? Is that official?
I mean, I've seen that they're
putting up posters, but I don't know if it's the real.
Yeah, but after I started seeing posters, I also seen like Gervonta Davis being in some trouble. So that might, I'm not sure if that will derail the fight or that will come to its conclusion after the fact. I'm not 100% sure. I'm looking forward to that fight though. I feel like it's kind of been a long time coming, but it hasn't really. At the same time, it was mentioned and that step towards, but I don't think Ryan Garcia has really been at the same level that Gervonta Davis has been operating at for a few years now. So now, he hasn't really got anywhere else to go but world level. He hasn't really boxed anyone else, but for Garcia, it probably does make sense to box one of the biggest names because obviously then that's immediately a massive, massive fight, and win, lose or draw, his profile will be huge after it. So I'm excited for the fight. I think I do favour Gervonta Davis.
Of course.
I think he
stops him.
I think he's got IQ. I think he's very patient. I think when he does land, he puts the pressure on really well. I think there's been times earlier on in Ryan Garcia's career where he showed some vulnerability. Even Luke Campbell put him down quite heavily. But even before that, there was times when every time he was sort of getting roughed up inside, he was half turning his back. He kind of looked lost. I think he has improved since then. I will definitely say that. But Gervonta Davis, I think, has both worlds. He can sort of punch up there with the best in the division, but he also has that sort of awkwardness and the movement and the reactions and the speed. Like, he's quite hard to hit and tag clean. But if Ryan Garcia can start letting his sorry to interrupt you, if Ryan Garcia can let his levers go, find his range, because he should have a lot of reach advantage. If he can find his range and where he wants to put his feet, and then the sort of timing to, get shots to the target and not sort of give Tank even a chance to be in a position to land. If he can really use his reach like that, then it might get to a point where he sort of barrage in heavy punches and Tank's got to sort of cover up and look negative even if they're not coming through. So I don't know, it could be more interesting because there is some advantages in Garcia's favour, especially if you buy into a taller fighter, a bigger man is better. I don't always, and I don't think in this case, I think when Gervonta starts moving back and Garcia's coming forward, I think his pride and punching, I think even though he'll try and stand off for a bit, I think Tank will be a bit more disciplined and a bit more patient. And if Garcia starts falling over that front foot, being the bigger person is all of a sudden a weakness rather than a strength because you've got more target to hit. And your opponent who's being very elusive and skirting around the ring and reacting and pop shotting and then trying to land big single shots to hurt you, they're a harder target to hit. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's an interesting fight, but I kind of do sit more with.
He's not getting past round 9. He's getting knocked out.
You know what? I feel like
I wanted to say 8, but I gave him an extra one.
See, I thought you was gonna with the energy you started. I thought it was even earlier. I thought you was about to say.
No, you know why I say 9? Because I think Tank's quite patient. I think he's quite patient. I've watched him. The more I watch him, the more I can see when he wants to turn it up, he does. But he's quite patient. Also, as well, I think Tank's patient and a counter puncher, which is mad for me to say. But if you watch him, bro, a lot of his knockouts come from counter punching.
Yeah, they start.
Yeah, they start. So yeah, they start from counter punching. So I think, man, if Garcia, what's his name again? Ryan Garcia plays his cards right. He can make it to about 8-9, but he's getting knocked out. He's a
foregone conclusion. No chance yet.
Nah, he's getting knocked out. He's getting stopped. The way Luke Campbell dropped him, it's a lot of show, but I don't see the dog. The dog, yeah, he got up against Luke Campbell, but I think when he
got that dog in him, he did recover really quite quick though.
He recovered, yeah, but when he really gets dragged into that water and Tank makes him feel like
April 22nd is when we're looking at. Yeah, that's what it's been confirmed. The venue, Las Vegas.
He's getting knocked out.
That's what they're saying on here on this. The rumors are that he could head to the Allegiant Stadium, but that has been ruled out. The T-Mobile, which hold up to 22,000. I think that's what they're looking at. But who knows? With boxing, everything's due to change in a moment's notice. If we do have that fight, that is one fight that I genuinely am looking forward to.
Very much so. He's getting knocked out. Moving on. What we're saying on your guy Conor Benn on Piers yesterday. You know, he came in with a leather jacket and that. Like he talked his thing. Like, what we saying?
I don't know. I don't think it was.
Did it change your perspective? Did it change your outlook, champ?
It didn't make me think what I already thought any less. I think is the easiest way to put it. I think I don't know because it's hard. He's in a pressure situation. Don't understand fully why Piers Morgan was the platform, but then again, it is a massive platform and probably earned money from it, and they probably had a good amount of control over what was out. It did kind of look edited. There was like sentences that were cut like mid-words. I think there was one bit it was quite obvious that kind of cut something.
I did see it. I know now that you say it, I did think like, yeah, I guess
I don't know. I think his dad was there to sort of when he was running out of things to say to make sure he kind of took over and be relatable. You know, there was like a time of like 5-6 minutes. He was kind of saying a lot without saying much, and it wasn't even Conor Benn. He was just on the screen. I don't know. He just, for me, he didn't radiate the best body language. I'll be real, and I'm not no body language expert, but I like to think that I can read people to a certain degree, and I just think he seemed under pressure. He seemed a bit like he even asked Piers for like validation. Like I can't remember how he said it or what part he said it, but he basically asked Piers like, "Do you believe me? Does this sound like reasonable?" sort of thing. Like there was a part where he said that, and also where he kind of like misstepped words. Like there's been some clips that have circled like boxing Twitter, where he's obviously if you just take it out of context, he's saying, "Yeah, I was doing it," but obviously he's saying it in a slight different way, but not really kind of meaning to say that the same way. I don't know. It just like I said before, it seems suspicious. I can't relate because I've never been in the situation, unfortunately, and I get a lot of like my knowledge through experience. So as I've been drugs tested countless times, just like the day one of the news broke, I got drugs tested randomly at 7 o'clock in the morning and passed the test. I've not heard anything.
So what happened? They turned up at your house.
So wow, I only go down the wrong hole. Jesus. So ever since I've been a world champion, I think before my first offence, I got put on UCAD's what I believe to be their top like tier of testing. So I'm on whereabouts testing, which means 365 days a year.
Yeah, they need to know where you are.
And I need to give them an hour time slot where I have to be where I say I'm going to be for the whole hour. If they turn up during that hour and I'm not there, then that's when it counts as a missed strike. So they turn up randomly outside of that hour, like the 7:30 knock I got was outside of that by about 15-20 minutes. So maybe that was just outside of it because of his journey that morning. Who knows? If I wasn't there and he turned up 15 minutes before, then that would have been my second strike. So because I have to be so conscious about everything, not only that I'm putting in my body, but also where I am, where I'm sleeping, making sure if I've booked a last minute trip somewhere or I'm in a different country, that I put my hotel room, the hotel name, a contact number. Like, I actually have to do that in just to be a professional boxer. I have to do that. And people say, "Oh, why do you now?" Probably a bit more passionate. Like, over the last 2 years, I've probably been more passionate over the whole drug side of boxing. One, I'm a clean athlete, and two, I'm existing in a very competitive world. But now I've been put with these restrictions on my life, where I've got an app on my phone that 99% of boxers don't have, because it's only very, very few people. Other countries probably don't have this whereabouts test, and I would gather it's a UCAD specific to be a British boxer. And I have to tell them where I'm going to be. I can get drugs tested. There's been times I've been drugs tested 2-3 times in 1 week. There's been times I've been drugs tested for urine and blood multiple times in a fortnight. Like, both things. It's like, had my kids there in the middle of something, about to do the nursery run, and they've turned up, have to do a drugs test. Like, because that is actually my existence, just to be a boxer or something I wanted to do for my whole life. It now is a bit more frustrating when maybe someone doesn't adhere to every regulation and restriction and banned substance like I have to. And then they kind of just get away with it. Like, it is more frustrating. It's not personal. This is my life. This is my business. And if no one is ever going to say anything, like, I'm being told I'm a bad person for one, not just believing something someone said with a lot at stake. Like, it's not personal, but if I don't believe someone, I'm listening to someone. That's it. I'm not going to argue with myself just to make me seem like a better person in public. And yeah, I could choose to be quiet about everything, but outside of just being a boxer and the position I hold and the voice and platform, etc., I'm a boxing fan. I genuinely, I watch and digest boxing content every single day. It's all I pretty much do. The only interest I really, really have. So sometimes I speak on it as if I'm not amongst it. I speak as if I'm an outsider, because really, if anyone ever wants to have a conversation with me, I'm good with my communication. So no one will ever make me feel a way about believing something I believe, unless they can show me things that then changes that. Like, it is what it is. And if we're not allowed to talk about these things, then that's more of a big. If you're innocent, people, like, and you've got the proof and you can prove it, or if this is the amount of proof, like, people talking about it shouldn't be like the biggest scar on your name. You know what I mean? If you are really innocent, like, but until I'm in a position where I failed a drugs test, and I'm sat here talking to you, Pounds, on the phone too, saying there's no way, there's nothing I've done. I've nothing done anything new. I swear on this and that, on my kids' lives, and doing all of everything I could say because I was genuinely in that position. Then maybe I'd start understanding the other side of the story right now. But for me,
you haven't walked in his shoes. I get it.
I haven't, and I haven't also, like, anyone that's ever trained around me, anyone that's ever been in my camp, anyone that I've ever had any sort of connection with, I've never had the conversation where they failed a drugs test. It's never seemed to happen. Maybe, like, for some reason, it walk in certain ways. You don't come into contact with them. I don't know why it is. I don't know why every fighter in my gym and my gyms before that and have never failed. I don't know. But it's just a hard pill to swallow as someone that has to exist in the world of boxing, where, you know what I mean, I have to get my body ready and my mind ready and put my life on hold for 10, 12 weeks at a time. Can't go on no holidays, can't do anything. I know no one cares about all of that, but I have to do all of that to be the best version of myself. They give me the best chance to further my career, my life, my legacy. And then when I'm now existing and having to wait, you know, for my fight dates, or as just the calendar goes by now as someone involved, and it seems like if certain people have good enough lawyers that they never ever get any real punishment or form of punishment, if anything, it seems like every single time someone gets fails a drugs test, they don't get banned usually. They get more exposure and media and attention than ever. It gets capitalized on, and they don't really get punished at all. If anything, as long as they can avoid actually getting hit with a 2 year. If anything, it's probably a positive right now, because people love a scandal. People going, well, why is Conor Benn getting talked about more than most people. The event was so far much bigger. And not only that, he's half getting special treatment where it looks like he failed a test, 2 tests even, and he's not getting banned. So if that's the case, of course he's going to get talked about more than someone. They said stuff on the Piers Morgan about 6 months I could have taken a 6-month ban, and I'll be back ready to fight now next month, and then everyone would have just forgot about it. Who offered him that? When was that offered? Like, when was that? Like, it sounds mad, but a lot of what's going on right now to me, and I don't want to be too controversial because like I'm really not doing it for that. My actual opinion on this, there's a lot of things that are getting said in a way like they're factually true just because there isn't people that are going to come immediately and defend it. So a lot of things just getting blurred through the line, smoke and mirrored. They're saying whatever they want to say, and that's kind of why they're getting pressured because they haven't got an immediate person. Or even when the statements are coming up from the other side, they're not going into as much detail because they're not really doing interviews the same way or speaking to Piers Morgan. Like it's like their narrative's kind of clouding it for me, and it's I don't know. I don't think it was a good thing for actual public public opinion, but for attention, for the villain story, for a lot of things. I think it's grabbed mainstream media. But it's hard because when you're dealing with certain things that are very thought provocative and emotion provocative, provoking, it's hard because when someone's bearing their heart, by all means, by all accounts, even to the public like that, and they're touching on things and things that it's affected their life. Like obviously they are humans, so it's hard. As a human, it gets to a point where you do start half feeling sympathy towards what they're going through because obviously you can just imagine it completely derailing your life. But when he's saying things like, the first time I got notification that there's an adverse finding on your test, I wasn't worried. I just thought, it must be a mistake. My personal experience couldn't be any further from that. When I got more correspondence saying I had to do something else, I thought, oh, well, hold on, have I done something? And then when I got correspondence saying you missed basically a test on this day and we need an explanation and the explanation was that I went to Centre Parks, I had a mad week that week before, cars got changed last minute. I just forgot to go in my app because my mind's a sieve sometimes, and update that I was staying at Centre Parks for that night. I managed to do it the next day, but they came in the morning. I missed. But when I got that, my heart dropped. The first
it's your career, bro. It's everything. It's everything. No, I hear you fully. Carry on.
Anytime I see anything you can, because what is the system for me right now is I fill this out, they come randomly, and then I don't see them again until they come randomly again. Do you know what I mean? So anytime I see anything, my heart drops, and I'm a clean athlete. Like I'm like 100%. I don't stress about taking them. It's no business to me. I don't. Oh my god, no! There's a knock on the door and try and hide. Like it is no issue. I have a laugh with them. They're all right people. That they're not unpleasant. They're there to do a job. I'm there to be an athlete and play my role. It is what it is. But the fact that a boxer can say they seen their first adverse finding and they weren't worried at all, that blew my mind as much as anything
that's not a missed test like you. This is a failed test. Yeah, that should be sending alarm bells and panic. Like my career.
Adverse finding. If you've seen that, it's like, oh god, they're trying to ban me. That's what. That's the only thing I would think.
Mad. All right, we're gonna move on from that because we covered it. Who's winning, Ohara Davis or Lewis Ritson?
What do you mean? Who's winning? That fight happened on Saturday. Well, all of a sudden, yeah, all of a sudden.
Are you happy, Daddy?
All of a sudden, me not catching Jon Jones at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was so bad.
Who won? Ohara, obviously. Yeah. See, I predicted it.
And you know what? Ohara looked good. Shout out to Ohara Davis.
What channel was it on then? I can't believe I missed it. I knew it was coming up.
It was on Fight TV, so it was a bit of
That's why, I knew it was coming up.
You had to know where that one was. You were not going to stumble on that one. So,
Okay.
but yeah, to be fair to Ohara, he came out, he started the game plan. He was a bit more active in the ring. He was throwing a few more shots and had a bit more control. I think the few rounds, the early rounds were close. Ritson was just trying to throw a bit more and get there and kind of looked like he was forcing the pace a little bit, but very close rounds. But then by about round 4, Ohara just started tagging him and landing and landing. And by, I don't want to get it wrong, but by round 8, I think, round 9, Ohara was pretty much teeing off. Every time Ritson was trying to move down to get out of the way, Ohara was completely reading where he was going to go, and his arm, he was following him and catching him just at the end of his reach over and over again. And then there's shouts from the corner. There's shouts from the corner saying, work the body, work the body. And then all of a sudden, a touch with the right hand upstairs, drop down, big left hook to the body. And I'll be real, Ritson, who's a tough man and a good fighter, man. I think he hasn't always been seen as his best. And I think the weight doesn't do him any justice, really. I think he'd probably be better coming up a weight or two. But he was down for a while with the body shot. Like it was painful, and you could see he tried getting up in those first however many seconds, but there was no chance. It was a good knockout, and that was a WBA final eliminator. So now that puts Ohara Davis in line for a legitimate WBA world title shot. So
who's the champion?
I'm not sure if it's vacant. You know, I was having this conversation. WBA lightweight champion. It is lightweight. I'm sure it's lightweight. Well, no, it's not lightweight. No, it's super lightweight.
Light welter. Like, what's it?
Yeah, they're like they're super lightweight. Yeah, they're super lightweight. Yeah. Because wait, hold on. Do you know what? Sometimes it's quite hard to go for one of these. Super lightweight. What was it? It was a WBA. Alberto Puello. Oh, did they just? Oh yeah, Alberto Puello. It's saying here. If we're definitely getting the right rankings. Yeah, that's a great turnaround, a great position really for.
So hold on, are all the belts distributed all over the place now because Josh Taylor's gone up, or has he vacated all of them?
I think he's still got one of them. I think he's still got the is it WBO? Yeah, he's still got WBO. Regis Prograis, WBC. Subriel Matias is the IBF, and Josh Taylor.
What weight is Taylor fighting? Is it confirmed Lopez yet?
I think it was confirmed. You know, I'm sure it was confirmed.
Is that at 140 or 147?
And I think the fight that makes sense outside of that is Catterall Prograis, and I think the winners fight each other, and it ties up a lot. And I think they're all good, big, massive fights, and I think they build up the fighters in America and the UK both ways. So yeah, I'm all for that.
I like it. All right, listen. Before we wrap up, because we're on shorter time today because I've got to do something. Apologies to the people. This is a good one to talk on before we cut. Yeah, I think it's confirmed. You talk about him every week, champ. Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. Big fight. Big fight. What are we saying?
I think at this season, I think at this time, Lomachenko's obviously a lot older. I think he's also the smaller man.
Yeah, legs not moving.
And Haney's very good and very fresh. He hasn't taken much damage at all. He's very confident right now. He's undisputed. He's beat the people he's needed to beat to get there. He's had the big events. Lomachenko's got a couple of losses. But one thing you can't overlook is just how talented and just how smart and savvy Lomachenko is. Because that fight there isn't someone trying to walk down Haney and him outboxing him. It's two masters of mind putting their bodies and working each other out. And there's probably reasons to suggest that although Haney is showing a high level of performance right now, the actual just IQ, Devin Haney, if he boxes the way he does from now until he's like 35, 36, his IQ will be far, far superior because of what he's experienced in the ring. And I think Lomachenko has been around for so long. He had that ridiculously legendary amateur career where I think he boasts 396 wins and only one defeat, which he avenged to the Russian. yeah, he stepped up a couple of times, and there's been they had the fight early on against Salido that a lot of people don't think he lost. Some people do. And obviously he lost to Teofimo Lopez, but by the end of it, he did look like he was coming back. He might have just kind of overlooked him because that was Teofimo Lopez's breakout fight, so to speak. He had a bit of hype, but that was his breakout fight. But if that fight did happen, that would be like boxing porn. I'll be real. That's like,
come on. I know that's your kind of fight. That's why I saved it till last.
It'll probably be those fights. One of those fights that not everyone's going to enjoy it, and probably not everyone's going to even get onto watching it. It'll probably be.
They need to get to know. They need to get to know them because I'll sure be watching that. Devin Haney versus Lomachenko.
If you watch boxing because you go to a social place and you want to speak and then have a look at someone get knocked out and go back to speaking and drinking and partying, whatever, like this fight probably ain't for you. You know what I mean? It's probably not. It will probably be 36 minutes every second of that 36 minutes, and there probably won't be much time where someone's being wide open and just getting caught clean and clean. And even when the shots are open, both fighters will probably be looking to score and cash out. And I'll be taking them checks with them. They won't be looking to just mix up in a firefight, I don't think, because they know with a split second too long in the pocket, their opponent can hit him 2-3 times. And I think it really is just that fight. I think it's a very elite fight, but unfortunately for Lomachenko, in my eyes, probably not at the right time of his career. And I wouldn't want to write him off, but I don't know. Devin Haney, for me, has almost looked not even remotely beatable for me, for the most part.
I know he's your guy, bro. You mention him every week, so I know that's your guy. Before we go, last question I want to ask you. You said Devin Haney, you feel, I could hear you kind of leaning, but we won't do picks till close to the time. But if Lomachenko now fought Gervonta now, who would win that?
Again, that's now clashing the minds as well, because don't get me wrong, Tank is a ferocious puncher, but Lomachenko is very hard to hurt. Like he doesn't really get caught clean. He's always in the fight. His mind works at a frequency where he puts his feet and his body pretty much in the right place over and over again. But again, the physicality of it, the youthfulness, I think at peak, the career that Lomachenko's had, Tank could definitely hurt him and sort of turn upside down. But I think that would be a very hard fight for Tank. I don't think it's a favourable matchup. Lomachenko would have the reach advantage and would have the range advantage. And yeah, maybe not the power, but a lot of things else. And he's a hard person to be patient with, Lomachenko. Like, he's a hard person to be hard fighter to be patient with, because he will just be chipping away at the rounds and winning, get 7 rounds up and disappear. Hard person to be patient with. To have to knock out, well, I don't think he's ever been knocked out, like, or remotely close.
Yeah, not from what I've seen. No, all right. That's what I wanted to know. That's what it is. Is there any boxing this weekend before I jump out, champ?
There is a few. I was having a look earlier.
Break them down. I've got to pick up my son. I'm going to be scurrying around the ends to get a minute.
There's one, that I'm actually, like, even though it's kind of a foreign fight, quite excited for. Is Tim Tszyu versus Harrison.
That's Costa Tszyu's youth, right?
Yes. And
come on, because man knows
it's always hard for a boxing like I don't know, insider to get excited about the son, because there's always usually more hype like piled on. But so far, Tim Tszyu's looked pretty legit. Like, when he's needed to fight, when he's needed to fight, he's really turned up. 1 second, I'm just going to get the fight up now. Tony Harrison. I'm trying to think of his first name, but obviously Tony Harrison, former world champion.
Tony Harrison's decent. He beat, who did he beat? One of the Charlos.
Yeah, it was an upset as well. He wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, I remember the upset. He beat one of the Charlos. Still, he lost on the return, didn't it? Did they rematch?
Let me get his box check.
I'm watching boxes, you know, Sonny. I watch my boxing, but I watch my boxing. I know bits.
Why's my own not working? What's going on? There we go. Tony Harrison. Right now, I'll have a little look. But for the vacant WBO title, or the interim, but that's a good opportunity for Tim Tszyu to really break out. It's in his homeland as well of Australia, Sydney. Jamel Charlo, he got knocked out in the rematch, but obviously Jamel Charlo is a very, very good fighter. He got a few other wins. He lost against Jarrett Hurd. So, but he's been and mixed it with a few good fighters.
He's mixed it.
Tony Harrison. So I think if Tim Tszyu can kind of do a number, he's 32, so he's not really massively old. He's not like completely like.
Who's 32? Who's 32?
Tony Harrison.
How's Tim Tszyu?
He's 28, a bit younger, a bit fresher faced. He's done less rounds, less fights, but 21 wins, 15 knockouts. Yeah, he got the good win over Steve Sparks. That's looking better as he's getting a bit more exposure. He got the win over Jeff Horn as well. He's famous.
So who wins, champ? Who wins? Make your pick. That's the fact.
I like Tony Harrison. I like Tony Harrison, but Tim Tszyu, for me, eye test wise, can genuinely fight, and it's just how he can keep that fight going in harder fights. You know what I mean? So, so far,
for this fight, you're going with Tim Tszyu.
I am, and especially at home. I think Australia is a hard one. Like,
yeah,
having to fight anywhere in the world is quite. That's not your home. It's always a change. You got the flight. You might have to go train there for a bit, spar there for a bit, yada yada yada. But Tony Harrison is going from obviously America all the way to Australia. That is like the other side of the world.
Literally.
I don't know what the time captures up. I'm not well traveled enough to have been to America and Australia, so I don't really know where they come if it's very far apart. But it seems like it would be. You know what I mean? It seems like their day is going to be complete on the flip side of what it should be, and then that means they're going to have to be there a bit longer. Might take longer to adapt. I think Australia is going to be a hard task for any fighter, but one thing that might save him is they might try and cater to the US market and make a time that's a bit better.
They mostly do their own thing. They didn't do that with Pacquiao, so I doubt they're going to do that with him. When Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn, they kept it, and he lost that as well.
That was in the day, though. That was in like an arena, wasn't it? In the day.
Yeah, it was in the daytime.
So maybe that was that.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah, you might be right. So it might be that might have been because of the US. So you're right. So with that in mind, yeah, that could help, but Australia does seem like a hard place to go and pull out a victory, unless your name's Devin Haney.
And there is one other card that unfortunately doesn't have Callum Smith on it. Callum Smith was meant to be making his return to Liverpool, but the headline now is Diego Paccio? I don't know how to really pronounce his name.
I don't know Diego Paccio, bro. Let me pick up my son.
He's fighting Jack Cullen in the headline.
Oh, he's Jack Cullen. Right, who's winning that one? Quick, chap. Say who's winning it.
Paccio. I don't know how to say his name, bro. It's funny.
Pacheco.
Yeah, but it's like he's a good fighter. I think he's like an American-Mexican type fighter. He's getting built up over there, and he's fighting Jack Cullen, who we've seen mix it with some good fighters. He's upset the apple cart a couple of times as well, so he could be looking to do it again. But I think it's quite an all-action fight. I think neither are going to really be. I think Pacheco is going to be looking to put a performance on and sort of impress a different market and the brand of the zone, etc. But Jack Cullen, he never comes to roll over, so he had that big win at Fight Camp. I can remember Jack Cullen. It's escaped me right now who it was that he beat. Here we go. Have a look now. Avni Yildirim that he weren't really supposed to beat. And he also beat my old training partner, John Dock. So he's had a few upsets. So yeah, Diego Pacheco.
Who are we picking?
I think the Los Angeles man, Diego, maybe by a knockout as well, because Cullen isn't the hardest fighter to hit. He's really not. So yeah, if I was gonna go anywhere, that's what I'd go for.
All right, that's the last word from the champ. You know the champ's picks are usually right. You can put a little money on that. Make sure you bet safe, gamble aware, all of the above. It's pounds and punches. Pound Sterling the Hustler, big champ, Sonny Edwards. We're gone. Catch you next week.